Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, good night to wherever you are. I see jet skis on the live. You're the first one. Haley Kappa says hello. Other user says hello as well. Very excited to see you today. How's everybody feeling today? We have a new poll going on, which is what is your favorite Archie? Personally, I like the dead Archie. I think he looks very cute, very funny. He has a little XX over his eyes. But also, I've been told that surprised Archie is extra cute. So I really want to know how you feel. So please let us know. Welcome, everyone in the chat. As always, welcome to Office Hours. Office Hours is a space where will be answering all your questions about Effect House. All technical questions are welcome. I'm Celine, the community manager of Effect House, and as always, I'm joined by my trusty colleague, BFF, best combo duo, August, the interactive engineer. Hello.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and good night to some people in other countries.
Yeah, thank you for joining. How's everybody feeling today? August, I gotta ask you, what is your favorite Archie?
Oh, definitely the one that's like kind of sly, kind of like creeping a little bit. Oh, the one that's on my name.
So actually, I think I mentioned this during a different live stream, but I kind of try to pair up whichever Archie you get with the type of person you are. So I think I totally landed this one because you said the Archie on your name is your favorite one. Very
Nice, perfect.
So let's start out looking at the new templates. A new template just launched called Funny Nose, right?
Yes, this funny nose template just dropped, and to some.
Ooh.
Do you want me to just dive straight into it?
Yes, please. Let's start with that.
Um, Yeah, so for some intermediate creators or even beginner creators, you might this might seem kind of like innocuous and just kind of like another example of putting 2D stickers on the face. But if you take a little closer look, you'll see if you take the kitty nose off or the hand drawn nose off, it's we have this little trick happening here with a 3D face that kind of it's almost like a nose eraser. And this is something that's always been possible ever since 3D Face existed, which I think has always been around. So yeah, this is like kind of a cool trick to show you how you can do like interesting things with the 3D Face if you manipulate it a little bit. And what's really going on here is that we're taking the tip of the nose, we're stretching it out across where the entire nose is, and then we're using sort of an opacity map. If we look at the nose occluder material, we can see that if we turn the opacity off, we'll get the actual real face, which it actually I think might just be the UV is stretched to the point of the nose, as you can see here, the tiling. But then we have the opacity map showing only where we want to erase the nose. So this could be you could kind of use this as like it's just an interesting way to do that.
Whoa. You
And
can
then
do
if
your
you
whole face? You're faceless.
yeah, you just want to keep in mind we're stretching we're using the UVs and stuff to stretch the tip of the nose across the whole nose. So that kind of makes sense, right? Because you want to erase the nose. I wouldn't recommend doing it for the whole face or any other part of the face, just for the classic reasons of why you don't want to do. You want to be careful with skin tone sampling.
I
Um,
I wonder what happens if you have like a piercing. Would you have like a really long black line?
I mean, yeah, probably. You should try it out.
Very interesting. I'll go get myself a nose piercing.
Yeah, you'd wanna play with it. With I can just put my finger here, and you can see uh, it's like a very small chunk of my nose. But yeah, if you had something right on the tip of your nose, it would probably be visible.
Very cool.
Uh,
I think that would be a cool look.
yeah, and if you're worried about that, just change the tiling and zoom in a little farther than point 0.1.
I saw in the beginning that you had a cute whiskers and nose kind of thing. Is that a default asset?
Yeah, there's the hand-drawn nose here. Looks a little bit like clip art, and then the kitty nose, which looks a little bit like a Whoville Who or something. It's
So if you just wanted to have a cute nose asset, then you just draw it on Procreate and you or any other program and you can just replace it.
oh yeah.
Whoa, look
As
at
yeah, as you can see, it's just these are just face stickers, so nothing too crazy happening. Just some 2D images attached to the nose. Yeah.
very nice. Yeah, let's go move on to the questions. If you have more questions about this funny nose template, please let us know and we can answer more questions about it.
Keep in mind,
Uh,
there's like
oh my
more stuff
gosh.
in the nose template. We don't have to talk about all of these, but if you don't mind, I just wanted to cover one thing here as well. This is more what I was talking about with the nose material. You can see if I change the color here, it really highlights where the 3D face mesh is being used, and you can really see when you take off the opacity. There's a whole face here,
Oh
which I think
wow.
I could easily see somebody releasing just this alone for some reason. But yeah, as you can see, the opacity is what hides the parts that you don't need, and you can use a 3D face mesh for a lot of things. So yeah, just keep that in mind. An opacity mask, use a 3D face, do some more interesting stuff. There's another one, but it's a little more classic. It's just this. So we won't talk too much about that because I think that's pretty straightforward. We can go to the questions.
Yep, sounds good. Gabriella asks, "Hey, I'm trying to edit keyboard microjam, but it won't let me duplicate any of the existing 2D images to add additional textures there. And when adding new 2D images, it's not visible in the effect. Any ideas?"
So I've thought through this because we're in the process of updating some of the older projects. There are some things that are a little difficult. For instance, the animated textures. For each of those, or for the animated sequence that's in that project, it'll need to be upgraded to the new 2D system, and you'll need to create one for each character that's on the screen, and have separate animated texture controller players nodes. And then you'll also want to re-import the texture sequence and also replace all of the 2D images in the hierarchy with new 2D images. And then I think there are quite a few other things to update on such a complex project like that. So that might give some insight into like why it takes a bit of time to update these. And I think I think that should be all of the important things. There might be a couple other little things to look out for, but of course, in the visual scripting, anything you replace in the hierarchy, you'll have to replace the reference in the subgraphs. So keep an eye out for that as well. And yeah, but realistically, yeah, there's no way to open it in 2.4 and add old 2D images or old version objects. Yeah.
However, because you already have the project file, it is possible that you recreate the file in the new version, right?
Yeah. Following all those things that I said, that's different in the newer versions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
sounds good. Instead of maybe screen image tab, you can use a new node called screen image tab, which is a new 2D system. So try that, and if you run into any specific problems, bring it again to microjam slash office hours, and we'll help you answer them.
Yeah, all the math and most of the other nodes should all be the same.
Yeah. I am Deb says, "I've heard about Effect House today and I love it. I'm so glad that you are
Wow.
here, that you heard about us. I want to know, where did you hear about us and what kind of developer are you?" Very nice to meet you. Welcome to the community. Haley Catpaz asked a question. Is it possible to import an FBX file that was created in Blender and has multiple different animations into Effect House? Every time I try to import an FBX file with multiple animation, it doesn't come out correctly. But if I export it as a .glb file or test it in another software, it works fine. Um, August, do you know the answer?
We'll have to check with some other people, other engineers who have used more FBXs. I have used FBXs, but I can't remember there being any problems with having multiple animations. I can show you where to look, where to find those. Let's find something within. Let's look at High Horse. This is also a pretty new template to show.
For me, I think I have a memory of me exporting something with an FBX file and multiple animations, and it worked. So I don't know where the problem is arising, but definitely we can help you check.
So if you, a lot of times you'll see in the FBX, this would be the FBX or the object that you get from the model. And then you have the mesh and the animation clips. For this one, it does look like there's only one clip, but sometimes you'll see multiple clips here, and that's how you'll know if it imported. And you can take a look at them to see the start time, end time, the number of frames, and then also in your 3D animation controller, you can click through here and you'll find your various animations, and then you can specify which clip you want to play. So this is how you might kind of investigate if yeah, that's where I would probably start, but we'll take note of this and look it up so that we know, so we can answer this next time.
Sounds great. We have another question by Gabriella. I think she asked the Microjam keyboard question earlier. She says, "Thank you, August. I see why. Are you planning on updating it anytime soon?"
I don't want to say anything for sure just because we have a lot of great projects, but I think it seems like people liked that one. So it's just a matter of priority of what to update first.
Yeah. Last office hour, we gave us a little sneak peek to the next project where we shared the 3D collision detection graph. So if you have two spheres that are that are touching, then the 3D subgraph that August shared can tell you whether it's touching. So if you guys haven't seen the subgraph yet, please check out our Discord under tutorials and resources section, and you'll be able to use them starting right now. And we have a new Microjam coming. I don't want to say too much, but keep an eye out for those as well. Okay. Pablo says, "Hi, I have a question. Why are some of my effects not available on my region? After this error message, I used my brother's phone who lives next to me, and the effects work okay." Pablo, in case for that question, I think you can reach out to our support and they'll be able to help you better. Oh, Gabriele says, "Thanks, guys. I appreciate the help. I'm so glad." Oh, we have a fun question and a person with a even more fun nickname, TikTok Scientist. Wow, that's a great nickname. And on their profile frame, they even have a person with a lab coat. I love it. I love the dedication, execution, everything. TikTok Scientist asks, "Is it possible to make a 2D object appear flexible, or would it require a 3D object with a root on one edge?"
A 2D object appearing flexible. Is this for it? I guess it would help to know the context. Is it on the screen in screen space? Is it attached to your head? Is it because there's like certain tricks you could try. Let's just start with a fresh project here, and I'll show some ideas that pop into my head. So the first thing is 2D screen image. If this is what we're working with, then where is it? Okay, there we go. It doesn't have to be face liquify, but if you just add liquify, we can actually just take the face binding off. You can do whatever you want with it, I think. So the 2D screen image is going to happen. Now it's going to happen first, and now we have this liquify. And this kind of could be used to make it look flexible. Just throwing out ideas. Yeah. The other thing I would try is maybe you might want to just have like a 3D object that uses a material that just renders it like it's 2D, just basically like a plane with some bones, and then have those bones move around and it would be flexible. Yeah. Also, this will warp this whole screen, so this is kind of a niche situation.
Yeah, maybe you can also use our physics system. We have what is it called, August? Bendy bones.
Well, we have I feel like I knew it until you asked me.
I know, I have it in my head, but I just can't remember.
You're making me blank. Okay, it is called. Oh, is it not in the menu here? Dynamic chain.
Dynamic chain, yes. So maybe another thing is if you use the dynamic chain feature but use a 2D camera to render it, then maybe you can use 3D objects but appear as if it's a 2D object. That is my suggestion to you. Okay.
Cool.
If you have any more questions or if you want to specify what you meant by flexible, then we can answer it more. But in the meantime, we are going to move on to the next question. Thank you, everyone, for leaving suggestions on the FBX format issue. Cowboy Canadian says, I use Blender and find that the GLB file format works best. And Chantel also mentioned that she had the same issue and she used the NLA strips. So lots of different file extensions. Cowboy Canadian says, question, when I import 3D models into Blender, the material render state 0 and the element blend mode came in as -1. What property does the render state 0 map back to? This is a very complicated question.
Yes, let's see. So here's all of our materials here. We'll go with standard PBR since a lot of people use that, I think. And render state 0. And what was the actual question again? Could you repeat? I heard the render state 0 stuff. But,
yeah, so I'm going to repeat the question. It says, when I import 3D models into Blender, the materials render state 0, the element blend mode comes in as -1. So I think this is the question. What property does the render state 0 map back to?
I mean, as you can see it with our standard PBR, the blend mode also doesn't really show anything. It's blank. So this, I would say report that as a bug if you're getting -1, because even if it is being mapped back, it would be something that would be good to report back to the RDs to look into. Just because in my mind, I would think probably the ideal situation would be it would always land on one of these options. So I would say report that in, but I think it'll do its best to kind of map the FBX materials from whatever programmer you were using to this. So if they have if they have transparency, I'm not sure if it actually automatically sets it to transparent or not. But things like that, I think it does try to map as many of these things to the right place as possible.
Sounds good. TikTok scientists elaborated a little bit more on what they meant by flexible. They said, I was looking at dynamic chain, but I was wondering about doing the same sort of movement with a single object so there is only one texture. They said, imagine a cube of jello.
Okay. Um, so the cube of Jello, if you want it to happen with only one object, I mean, one thing you could do is just have multiple 2D images and just turn one of them off, and then uh, in a way, this will still jiggle now whenever you move it, but it's still only one object. And I think you can actually get a lot out of that, but I understand. I think you want the object itself to kind of jiggle. So in that case, I would use like a mesh that looks like it's an image, and then make the bones within that jiggle. If you're able to do that, if you're familiar with 3D stuff. But yeah, this works pretty well. I think one thing I would do to make this look a little jigglier, let's set rotation. Rotation always makes things jiggly. Just keep that in mind. I actually wrote an entire article about this, and it's on my website, about making things look jiggly, because that was something I was doing in a video game I made once. But yeah, rotation helps tons. So how would you do this? I think you would take its position relative from its parent. Okay, we don't want that to rotate. We want this one to rotate. So set rotation, and you would just make it rotate more than the physics makes it rotate. So you would say, get this position, and then you would say, okay, actually, yeah, so this position is kind of the this seems cheap, but okay, we can just normal it. All right. Sorry, I'm just thinking through. I don't think we want to normalize. I think just getting the distance, it seems weird, but this is kind of like getting the length of the distance between this and its parent, because this is a local position when you grab it like this. So this is like the distance from it to, if you have it at 0, it's just going to be stacked on top of its parent. So this distance, just as an example, let's take a look at how it looks. Oh, also want to update. This could be kind of jiggly. Probably want to okay, 277. I wonder if this, okay, it does change a little bit. It looks like it's such a minuscule amount that you might want to do some other you might want to like save the starting distance, because it's going to have a decent amount of starting distance, and you only want to see the change. So we'll do this. Start. So we're saving that distance, and then we're gonna subtract. And okay, so subtract the new distance from the old distance, and then this, and then we'll see how much this changes, and then we'll multiply. Now we can magnify that difference. Before we couldn't really magnify it because we were getting the outright amount, and we don't want to magnify just the distance. We want to magnify that change when it jiggles. So we'll just say 10, and this will probably jig around a decent amount. Am I setting the rotation of the wrong? Okay. It says here, every frame that's setting the rotation, and then it'll say like 90 sometimes, but then I think dynamic chain might be overwriting this rotation. So that's something to keep in mind. So then, sorry, this is probably enough info, but just to close off my idea, let's duplicate this instead. We don't need that. And then we'll put this at the root level so it's not under dynamic chain. And we will turn this one invisible, but we'll say get position, and then we'll say set position. And this is what I call ghost following. It's a word I totally made up, and I don't think anybody uses that word, but it's just having an object that moves to a position and then having another object just following it. And sometimes you'll lerp towards it, so you're never actually fully following it. And okay, and once again, we're getting the oops, not that. We're getting the local position, remember, so we have to add these. If we want to get the actual position. And then this rotation will actually be setting on our new object, since this is our actual visible object. And this should look a little jigglier. And then I think you would want to just like offset it because this is a distance. You would want to just see what the total distance is, figure out what half of that is, and then offset it so that it's always like jiggling back and forth instead of, if it's jiggling in one direction, it looks a little weird. So yeah, just to show this again.
That's a great jiggle.
It's a 2D square, so it's like, I'm not 100% satisfied. But yeah, that offset should be pretty good. That's one more change, and then we'll move on to the next one. Sorry. Subtract 5 from this, and we'll assume it's just like, and then you see it's kind of offset to start. Oops. Yeah. If it's like attached to your head or something and it's always moving around, that might be a good start. And then, some tweaking. I love the jiggling. It might be a little too rigid or something, so maybe mess with the dynamic chain as well. But that's just an idea to get that jello-y look.
Very nice. Thank you. I have another question from the chat. They mentioned, it seems like Haley Capaz has also received a negative minus a couple times too. So we should definitely investigate, and we'll keep you updated on that. The next question is from our Discord section. They said, Chantal is saying, my mind is currently saying, my money don't jiggle, it falls. Me too. I didn't say it out loud, but yes, that was definitely what I was thinking about. Okay. Another question from Discord. It says, hi, anyone know how to make a revealed animation show at the start of its timeline? At the moment, it's appearing to be playing in the background, and it is revealed at whatever point it is at when the screen is tapped. Any ideas on how to get around this?
Could you interpret that a little bit?
Yes. So I think they want to do want the animation sequence to play when the screen is tapped. But right now, I think they're only using get visibility and set visibility. So when they click to reveal it, it's already playing in the background. So it doesn't start from frame 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is assuming this is with 2.4 or like a recent version. Let's see. Is there a way to just import? I'll just import something from one of the micro jams. Like, let's see. Oh, just finding the assets. Okay, so I'm importing a texture sequence, and then notice in the old versions there was just this texture sequence. It's literally just it's basically a set of images that you can see down here, and then if you look at this new thing,
It is so loud.
Sorry, I actually live in a mobile home and we're moving right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Imagine the dedication. As you're being shipped off to a different location, you're on live answering questions.
I'm actually wanted in most states. I'm on the run right now.
Oh my gosh, everybody report him.
No. Let's see. So there's two different assets. There's the textures, and this is kind of what we used to use, and now we have this thing that as you can see here, this is kind of like an animated texture. It's kind of playing it's doing the whole part where it plays the animation as well. So interestingly, so the biggest benefit of this is you can use this wherever you want to use a regular texture, and you don't have to have an animated sequence component on anything anymore. So you can just put this into a material, put this into anywhere, and it's just a regular texture, but it just changes all the time. And so basically what goes along with that is there's this is kind of playing in the background as soon as the effect starts. So what you want is a animated texture player. So you're going to want an animated texture player. And just before you do anything else, just also add the animated texture info and just kind of make sure to add your texture sequence into both of these. And you can use the asset picker as well if you want to just click it. But this one down here is to get the frame count. You're going to want to make sure that 2 is, and you can hard code this if you know how many frames there are too. You don't have to do this part. But I like mess up my projects so often that I like things like this to be pulling the correct number for me. So there's less human error. So this is how you'll get this whole setup. And then, like, for instance, if you want something to play on time, you'll make it pause on start, or you probably don't even have to do this. And then whenever you screen tap is when you'll hook it up to play if you want it to be playing. So let's say our jiggly guy here is this texture sequence, and you can see it's just the same as any other texture sequence. It doesn't play until I tap. It didn't have here. It will be playing when it starts. And another thing to keep in mind is if you have multiple texture sequences, for instance, the scoreboard. It has four number sequences. Actually, not everybody knows the scoreboard. I shouldn't use that as an example. I live in this world where everybody uses microjams all day. But yeah, anytime you're going to have multiple texture sequences, you're just going to want to duplicate this. It's okay if that both of them use this set of images. This is just a set of images, but this is the actual like texture sequence that's animating them. So you'll want to make multiple of these if you want them to be at different frames at different points of time. Yeah. And that's the new texture sequence breakdown with Augo.
Okay, that's great. Unfortunately, due to time, we won't be able to answer the last question by Cowboy and Canadian, which was any high level approach ideas on how to go about making a beauty effect which takes all of the blemishes and wrinkles out of the face, i.e., skin smoothing. But maybe we can start with answering that in our next live next week, same time. Okay, everyone. It was so great to see all of you. As always, thank you for visiting. And if I could choose my ending music right now, I would be doing the "My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle." It falls, wiggle wiggle for sure. Sana, blah 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 blah. Haley Kappa says she actually experiments with micro jams all day. August's dream come true. Okay, everyone. Bye. Have a nice
All right.
day.
See you guys.
Bye. My money don't jiggle jiggle. It falls. I want to see you wiggle wiggle. For sure.